All right, guys, we're going to talk about what's in my pack today on a Western hunt. I'm headed out in about a month to go mule deer hunting and elk hunting. I drew a tag for a cow elk and a antlered mule deer buck um, out in southwest Colorado. So, what's in my pack? Couple of things. I haven't done a whole lot of Western hunting, but I have done a lot of backpacking. I spend a lot of time on the Appalachian Trail, just out here in Arkansas, going on backpack hunts here. And so I have a pretty good grasp for what I'm going to need and how to be prepared, but also how to be light and where to make sacrifices. So just to kind of start out, we've got our personable kit. This has everything from first aid to just personables, toilet paper, a little bit of hand sanitizer. I've got some dude wipes. This is my first aid kit. So they sell a lot of first aid, backpack first aid kits and all that. And for me, just kind of going through it, I grab what I need out of that and kind of add. This is probably for the time that we're going out there a little bit excessive in my opinion, but at the same time everything's in here that I need. I've got stuff for melatonin in case you got a tough night and can't sleep, or some ibuprofen if you're sore, everything from Tylenol, Benadryl, all the basics. But also I've got some other things, Neosporin and stuff like that. Never know what you're going to need. It doesn't weigh a whole lot. I think altogether my personables weigh about like 1.2 pounds. I generally try to keep that around 1, but it kind of is what it is. I've also got some bleed stop. This is just kind of one of those worst case scenarios. Rather have it than not. Just never know when you're cutting up a big animal what kind of situations you're going to encounter, and so just nice to have. Some little fire starters. I know it's gonna be wet. It's gonna be early season archery, so you just don't know kind of what you might face. It's nice. Sometimes it's comforting on a rough night to have a fire going. Just nice to have. Not a necessity, but shoot, they don't weigh anything. Also got my personables, and toothbrush, deodorant. Use an unscented deodorant. I like to have that. Some people don't. I've got some Tums in here. All that good stuff. So yeah, moving on to the food kit. I've got kind of my basic titanium necessities. I've got a little bowl here that I eat my oatmeal out of, some coffee mug. I do pour over coffee, so that does force you to have 2 cups. Kind of adds a little bit of weight if you do pour overs, but for me it's worth the morning boost and that experience. Got my fuel canister. This is kind of gimmicky, but also kind of useful to help stabilize your fuel canister. I thought it was dumb, didn't have it, and I actually ended up in a rainstorm where it would have been nice to make sure that I had this stabilizer inside the tent while I was cooking breakfast. So yeah, it's a little bit of weight, but believe it or not, if you're running these small canisters, it actually came in, or would have came in handy the last time I was out. So also got my fuel or my stove here. This is kind of neat. It's got a spark on here. It's a Snow Peaks titanium backpacking stove. I don't need a lighter for lighting the stove, which is nice. It's peace of mind that I can always start a fire. I bring one anyways. Can't have too many ways to start a fire. So usually just toss in a mini Bic, don't use it, but it's there in case I do. Over to electronics. I run 2 Garmin units, not because I want to, just because that's how I've been set up. I've got the inReach for texting the lady back home, telling her I'm okay, made it back to camp and all that. What I don't like about these is their mapping quality is very poor. You can certainly mark waypoints and set your GPS coordinates, but there's no sort of mapping systems on here, so it's super frustrating. other than a tool to press the SOS button and communicate. You can grab weather and stuff like that too, so that is kind of handy. The new inReaches do tend to have both those functions, so I could probably drop some weight if I upgraded, but also having two devices as a, one as a backup isn't a bad idea either. The eTrex does have mapping, so I do have this set up with topographic mapping and waypoints that I'm interested in looking at, and stuff that I've already done some aerial scouting with. So I really do like having this in addition, just because it's a backup. I do bring my phone with Onyx, but having 3 different GPS points does give me some level of comfortability when I enter areas I'm not familiar with. So power bank, don't know much about this brand. I scooped this up a while back, but shoot, it'll charge my phone 3 or 4 times. And so I've been super impressed with it. Haven't really had a need to change. It's a little on the heavy side. I know there's newer, probably better stuff out there, but this does get the job done for me. It's got a little light on it. So that's my power bank. I've got the Black Diamond Storm here. This has got 400 lumens, which seems to be kind of the top end for Black Diamond for anything that's got batteries. I don't want a rechargeable headlamp for any sort of backpacking occasion, just because I don't want to worry about charging my phone, don't want to worry about charging my headlamp, all those things. I'd rather just carry batteries with me just on the off chance, because if my power bank goes out, I'm out of a lot more than just charging my headlamp or charging my phone. It's kind of consuming if you're just relying on that power bank. So that kind of leads me to my kind of whatever kit. This has got just about a little bit of everything in it. I've got some batteries. I've got some this is kind of a worst case / best case deal here. I've got everything that I need for retuning my bow, extra D-loop. I've got a rubber point for my arrows. If I want to test it, I can shoot at a pine cone or something. I've got some diaphragm calls here. A little bit of everything, even a fishing hook and some line if I get bored and want to throw a line. So just nice to have. It really doesn't weigh a whole lot, so I'm doing pretty good there as far. But most of the weight's held in those batteries. So that's kind of my my OS kit, my oh shit kit. My kill kit here, again, not a whole lot here. Just my my knife. I scooped this knife up new. It's the Razor Light. Hopefully it's gonna stand up. It's got some replaceable blades, which is nice. You don't have to sit there and sharpen a knife while you're trying to clean up an animal. So that's certainly nice. Got your game bags, some paracord, all of that good stuff. This paracord, I've been trying to find more of it. I love it because inside it's got a it's actually got a flammable center to it, and so worst case scenario, if you need to start a fire, you can pull some of that center out and it just lights right up. Haven't been able to find more, haven't really looked that hard either, but nice to have. Moving on to our clothes, I don't have a whole lot. Initially I kind of got excessive and had to kind of think about it a little bit more strategically as far as weight's concerned and what I'm trying to do and what the potential is for where I'm going, and really think about the layering systems. So I've got a net gator, nice to pull up if you're on a stalk. I've got a real lightweight Patagonia shirt just to change out of. I'll be wearing a shirt when I go out there, but this is just a nice shirt to switch into at camp. If you've been sweating in the one you've been in, or just to swap out. I've got some darn tough socks. I've got a pair of underwear, the Peloton. I've got some Peloton fleece gear from Kua. Nice, you've got your zip off base layer and all that good stuff. That's kind of my warmer weather underpant, long john, whatever you want to call them. So going out, I don't know kind of what to expect, but you never know out here in alpine hunts. It could snow, it could be 70 degrees out and 60 degrees at night. So I've got this just for the legs, just in case. In worst case, if I'm glassing and it's cold and I need to, hang out in my sleeping bag a little bit, that's fine too. So I've got my hoodie. I've also got my puffy, synthetic puffy, Sitka that I've got for kind of the top warm layer. And then I've also got my rain gear. So these are the Cloudburst jacket and the Cloudburst pants. I'm not super excited about them because of how loud they are. I'd love to carry up the mountain pant or something else. But as far as handling the rain and kind of the unexpected, it's hard to go wrong with it. It's just not a pair of pants that I'll be stocking up on an animal in. And my hiking pants that I'll be wearing are going to be those Ascent, Sitka Ascents. And those just breathe so well. And when it's 70 or 65 degrees out, it'll be nice. The pack that I'm running is the EXO Mountain Gear 3200. I've got a Osprey backpack cover for it if it does start raining on us a little bit. It's a little small, I'll admit, but it also kind of forces you to think about what you're bringing and be a little bit more strategic about what you're doing because of the size constraints. Also got my my food here. This is about 5 days worth of food. I pre-packed these, kind of set some goals around 3,000 calories and 120 grams of protein. I usually am around about 1.5 pounds, 1.6 per meal per day. And so some days there's a little bit higher if I need to kind of get a calorie boost or something like that. But generally it's a lot of Cliff Bars, jerky, those protein, the protein oatmeal, a coffee, and a Mountain House, some trail mix. So nothing too crazy, but it's consistent, and I've eaten these for time, for long periods of time. I'm comfortable with what they bring to the table for nutrition. I'm comfortable with eating them. So I'm happy with it. Not everybody would. Some people need a little bit more spice in their meals than what I do. So to each their own. All right, so this kind of brings me over to our shelter. Also, I always bring a pair of camp shoes. Flip-flops generally are kind of my go-to if there's ever a creek crossing or something that you need to. It's nice to have. I grabbed these 99-cent flip-flops from Walmart. Just a little bit of padding, super lightweight, and you can dry your feet out at the end of the day, which is absolutely critically important to do. So big fan of those. Shelter, I've got kind of two options. I got a bivvy if I want to drop kind of solo. And then I've got a 2-man. This is the Copper Spur. This is the Mountain Glow version, so you got the little lights built into it. Adds some weight, but it's a nice convenience, and it's nice to have some ambient light whenever you're kind of calling it a night, and and you're not wasting your headlamp. So got all that stuff, DAC poles for it, and just overall real high quality tent. I've got the footprint in here. I can run it without the innards and just do the rainfly and the footprint if I'd like. So we'll just kind of see. I'm going with a partner. Don't know if we'll end up trying to cram both of us into this or kind of how that'll go just yet. We'll make that call at the trailhead. So moving on, we've got our sleeping bag. This is a 19 degree Patagonia down sleeping bag. It's been treated. So it's, it's one of those things when you're running a down bag, you just got to baby it, take care of it, make sure she doesn't get wet. So, got, my optics. So I've got the Razor 10x42s, which stay on my chest. Got the Halo 600 rangefinder there, a little bit of wind direction and all that good stuff. I've got the Razor 11 by 33 by 50, 11 233 by 50 spotting scope with the Vortex Summit SSP tripod. So altogether, the optics are just not very heavy, which is why I've gone this direction. Yeah, they don't have the eye relief and don't have some of the zoom capabilities that some of these others do. But being a backpack hunt and just trying to optimize what I've got, these are kind of where I've gone. So I've got some items that kind of go along with the optics. Got kind of my connector for my binoculars to the tripod. Got a lens pen. Doesn't weigh a thing, but I like to have an eye patch. Helps the eye fatigue whenever you're spotting. Some lens wipes. And then I've got a case that I kind of put all my optic extras into. Also got my sleeping pad. This is the Neo X-Lite sleeping pad. I think it's like a pound. Weighs nothing. Super comfortable. I think the R value is somewhere around 4 on it. So you can kind of be in those colder situations. I am running a 19 degree, which generally is kind of comfortable up to about freezing. And I do have a Sea to Summit Reactor Extreme liner. It's just fleece. I love it. Super comfortable. Helps keep your bag from stinking, and it usually drops your bag temperature about 8 degrees. So if I'm running a 19, 20 degree, I'm probably going to be comfortable up to about 25, alive up to about 20 degrees. So nice to have. We'll check the weather before we roll, but chances are it's going to be a little bit on the cooler side. So that's kind of sleep system, optics, and then the last thing to cover is just kind of water. I run this Platypus I guess it is a 3 liter. You can actually fit 3.5 liters in it if you max it out. And I've got the Sawyer, the regular Sawyer built into it. A lot of people don't like having dirty water in their bladder. I don't mind it. This is how I've always run, so it's a comfortable thing for me. So I always have this connected to my bladder, and whenever I'm drawing from it, whenever I'm drinking, I'm constantly filtering it, as opposed to standing around at the water source and waiting for the water to filter itself. So it's a nice resource to have. I dig it this way. Not everybody does, but something I'm comfortable with. I always have some in my first aid kit. I always have some of those iodine pills and the stabilizing pills as a backup. I always like to have a couple of ways to filter water. So I've got the Sawyer. I've got some emergency pills that if I need to drop them in, we're good. And then worst case, we can boil water too. I also have this 2 liter Sawyer bag that I like to bring. I like to always have something that is clean water. And so this is kind of my clean water bag. Whenever I do tap into this, I'll make sure to fill it up with filtered water. And that way, this is always kind of a clean bag for me. Yeah, so altogether, I can carry about 5 liters of water. I like to always have an extra liter of water on me, just as an emergency. I'll run through this bladder sometimes and all of a sudden kind of run dry and think, oh shit, need to go ahead and get some water soon. And it's nice to know that I still got a liter of water in my pack somewhere, just in case, the next water source is dry or you start to get in a bind. So it's got 2 liters in it right now. I probably will, drop it down to half that. But it's nice to know that, hey, worst case, you can carry 5 liters of water, and 5 liters of water will last me. If I'm careful and sparing, I can make that last 2 days. So yeah, that's just about everything. If you got any questions or anything like that, let me know. Appreciate it.